You guys want to see an amazing setup? Well, today we're going to give you a full tour of Cross Country RV Solar's rig with their solar setup.
It is the most crazy solar system that we have personally seen. It's got over 6,000 watts on the roof. It has 10,000 watts inverted and big beard batteries. You got to stick around. This thing is insane. As promised, so this is Derek Green with CCRV or Cross Country RV Solar. He helped us last year in Athens, Texas, when our Renogy inverter took a dump and we switched out to Victron. We did a video on that showing the upgrades. Well, we didn't talk about Derek at the time because we were under contract with Renogy. Well, we're not. So we want to show you the mastermind behind the solar system and then, of course, show you this monster that he put together. We'll start with Derek. Thank you first for letting us film your awesome trailer. And then tell everybody, what's your company and where we can find you.
So I'm Cross Country RV Solar. Used to be Cross Country RV Tech and Solar, but solar is my passion, so we dropped the tech and we're just going to focus on RV solar installs. So we do have a YouTube channel. It's Cross Country RV Tech and Solar because that's what that was named. And if you just search online Cross Country RV Solar, you'll find us. We have a website out there, and then you can email us through that website, or don't hesitate to just give me a call. The phone number is also listed out there. So I mean, we travel the country doing installs everywhere, so we'll come right to you. Or in Michigan, you can always come to us also. In the summer, we're in Michigan. So.
And we're down here in sunny Florida, and it is a terrible 80 degrees. So we're going to move on and show you this awesome trailer.
So I got 3 of the big beard battery, the 24 volt, the beast he calls them. They're 320 amp hours. So in 12 volt terms, that'd be 640 amp hours. That's how most people know is 12 volt terms. So I got 3 of them. There's 2 here, and then the third one is up here. So I got 960 amp hours at 24 volts or 1920 amp hours at 12 volts. And up here's all the solar controllers for the 6,600 watts that are on the roof. There's 4 of them. There's the small one is for the front tilted panel. So I put that one all by itself so it's not affecting any other panels. And then there's 3 of them hooked together in series on this, and then there's 2 sets of 4. They're all hooked together in series. So I did the 250 volt solar controllers because the sets of 4 are about 200 volts each coming down from the roof. So. And then over in here I got 2 of the Victron Quattros, the 5,000 kVA inverters, also 24 volts because they're 24 volt batteries. And then I put in an auto transformer for load balancing the inverters. So, I mean, each of these inverters is for each leg of the 50 amp breaker panel box of the RV. But with the auto transformer after the inverters for load balancing, it doesn't matter which leg I'm turning power on, the inverters will always be balanced. So you're limited, in Quattro terms, you're limited to 4,400 watts on each leg. That's what the inverters can do all day long. In 3,000 watt inverter terms, like 2,400 watts would be what you're limited to. With an autoformer, it combines the legs. So like in my terms, I got 8,800 watts I can run. Doesn't matter which leg it's on. If I had the 3,000 watt multi-pluses, in those terms, I could run 4,800 watts. Doesn't matter which leg it's on. So the autoformer is really nice for that.
So in the practicality of this, you could have all 3 ACs, a residential fridge, all going at the same time, and you wouldn't have to worry about what leg you're on because the autoformer is doing its job and just taking the power where it needs it off of each inverter.
Yep, exactly right. So, and then one inverter is not getting stressed. I mean, it seems like all dual inverter systems, one inverter is doing like 60 to 70% of the work all the time, even more, 80% of the work. Where I mean, now the load will always be balanced. They're within 30 watts of all the time. It doesn't matter if there's 200 watts of load or 8,000 watts of load, it's going to be within 30 watts.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we run into. We have the Multi-Plus One, which you helped us install, and we find with the 2,400 watts continuous that if we have one AC running and then our residential fridge kicks on, for that short moment, we will actually overload our inverter. Right. So having something like this and being able to balance it would have been a awesome setup. And I think our next system, hint, hint, will be something similar to this 24 volt with an autoformer.
Yeah. Nope, I mean, this. Like I said, I got plenty of power here. That's why we got a 30 amp short power plug, so I can plug in another RV in the 30 amp, and they can run their air conditioning.
Wait. You literally can plug another RV into your RV?
Yep, right. That's part of the reason I went so big.
That's insane.
So I can meet customers in boondocking locations. You know, people from Michigan can meet us down in Florida here in the winter, not pay for an RV site, not have to worry about reservations and making one a year in advance. Plug into me, have 30 amp short power, still be able to use an AC and kind of learn how we boondock while you get your install done.
Now, can you plug in a smart car?
If we can dog bone it down to 30 amp, we can.
That's nuts. All right, there you go. If you want solar and you got a Prius, he's got it. That'll be your next mad scientist task.
Yep. So yeah, no, this certainly meets all our power needs.
Yeah.
I don't even shut my electric water heater off at night now. I just leave it on all the time.
So I mean, and with the 6,600 watts, in essence, you're never going to kill your batteries. You could, I guess, if you ran three
there's variables
ACs.
to everything.
Right.
I mean, I still don't have unlimited power, but I have a generator down here that's all wired into auto gen start with the servo. So it's set to just fire up at 20%. So
yes.
I mean, ultimately, I'll never have dead batteries because of that. It doesn't matter if it's the middle of the night, I'm gone for the day. I mean, the generator will kick in if it's ever needed.
So explain the importance of having a generator or some type of redundant system, even with the monster system you have. Why is that important?
I mean, it's just always nice to have something else as a backup. I mean, you never know when you're going to go through some cloudy days or somebody forgets to shut the electric water heater off or something. If you don't have a huge battery bank, like all of a sudden you could wake up and like you have your batteries at 10% or something. You're going to want some kind of backup source to charge it, whether it's a built-in generator or even just a small portable 2,000 watt generator, just something to like have a backup, you know, so.
Yeah, and that's something we get asked a lot of questions about in our solar system. Well, what do you carry for a generator? Well, ours didn't have a generator, so we just have a little 3,000 watt that we bought at Costco, and it's great for just what you're saying. I'm like, oh, we had 3 days in a row of rain and clouds, and we've only got 2,200 watts of solar, so our batteries are sitting at 60%, and we want to be 100 before we go to bed. Kick on the generator. I mean, for the most part, is yours plumbed? Well, being this is a toy hauler, your tanks and all that are already plumbed in, so all you have to do is have fuel there.
Yeah, right. Yep. Yeah, we got a fuel tank in the back and stuff.
So is that something that you do with your customers if they want an install and they don't have a generator? Do you just tell them, hey, we could do a install on like a permanent mount, or do you recommend just doing a portable?
I mean, it, again, kind of comes down to budget, I guess. You know, what people want to spend. I mean, we can certainly hardwire. I've hardwired in like even a Champion generator on a rack. You know, if they don't want to do like a whole built-in Onan generator and deal with all that, you can just put in a generator rack up front there and put like a Champion or a Honda or something. You know.
Wow. And
I've hardwired that into a transfer switch where it still works like a Onan. You know, I mean, if you have a built-in generator, then we can tie in an auto gen start through the servo, the Victron servo, and you can actually start the generator from your phone and everything then if there's Wi-Fi to the system. So
yeah, that's actually crazy. And then now I know that some of the Victron components, the new Quattros came out, they actually have the auto transformer, so it makes it a little bit easier to do that, right?
Yeah, well, with my Quattros, I took out my transfer switch.
Did you?
So with a built-in generator, you know, you always have a transfer switch in there. I removed that because there's 2 AC inputs on the Quattros. So that is essentially my transfer switch now. So,
nice.
Which is nice because then it shows up as generator on the screen.
Yeah. So your solar panels themselves are set up on a very unique thing. They're floated. Explain that to us.
Yeah, so it's a rack made by Iron Ridge. You know, it's actually a residential style rack that's not built for RVs, but I've used them quite a few times. So there's different size standoffs depending on how high you got to get. I bought 14-inch standoffs. So essentially, it's just legs with 2 rails, and the solar panels mount to the rails. Everybody asks, well, now you can't get to your air conditioners, or you got to like tear things apart to get to the air conditioners. The solar panels are just sandwiched down with bolts, so to remove one panel is just 4 bolts, and you can flip it over on top of the other one. You can get to AC or whatever you need to do. So it's probably an extra 10 minutes of work to access an AC, and the whole roof of panels actually keeps the ACs quieter.
Yeah, and then so how tall is your overall height now?
Just a smidge over 13.6. I'm actually 13.8, but in hindsight, doing this over, I could have saved 2 inches on the rail by flipping it the other way. So if I was to do this exact same RV, I could keep it at 13.6. But yeah, I am 13.8, but we've traveled all the way from Quartzsite all over Florida here, and it hasn't been an issue
which I think most bridges are a minimum of 14 feet unless it tells you otherwise.
Yep, all the bridges are fine. I mean, there was tree branches and power lines I was a little concerned about, but I've gone under a bunch that looked low and stopped, and I mean, I always had at least a foot of clearance on all of them.
So, I mean, obviously, if you, in a perfect world, you take away the budget aspect of things, one of the things we're looking at as we move forward with our next adventure and trailer is looking at like a Coleman Mach 8, which are the low profiles, where you could save, 6-8 inches by going low pro. Then you take your exact system you have and then you drop it down. So if your customers aren't concerned about the budget aspect, you could cut that height quite a bit.
All the other racks I built, that's what we actually did was switched out the air conditioners, the low profiles. It just, again, that adds another cost to the budget. But then you can use 11-inch standoffs, and we've actually taken rigs that were 13.6 and made them 13.4 with a rack on them, just because of changing the ACs out and being able to drop stuff down. So
one of the other questions I'm just forecasting in my brain, I know is going to come, how much weight did it add to your roof and your system overall?
It's a pretty heavy system. Again, I mean, I'm in a triple axle toy hauler. I mean, up on the roof, the solar panels were 58 pounds each, and there's 12 of them. And then with the rack, I figured it to be about 800 pounds up there, which, I mean, it's spaced out all the way across the whole RV. The standoffs are on a truss, each one screwed into a truss. So it's fine. I mean, the wind seems to honestly slide over the RV easier than it used to because there's no drag on the air conditioners and stuff. It just slides over the top. But in general, the system total is probably 1,500 pounds, give or take.
Okay.
I haven't weighed us since I added the solar. I weighed every time, like before we got the equipment and stuff. And I mean, the inverters and batteries added 700 pounds with the wire and everything, probably.
Right.
So
I know the Big Beard Beast batteries, those 24 volts are heavy.
Yeah,
I think they're over 100 pounds, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like 136, I believe.
Yeah.
So they're heavy, they are, but they're big batteries.
Yeah.
So
What do you expect for
if you had that many amp hours in lead acid, you'd have a ton.
Literally. Yeah, because aren't they usually like, isn't it like 24 pounds to 100 versus like 68 pounds to 50
like
or something?
Right?
It's like 3 to 1. It's
substantial,
crazy.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, is there anything that's like, you know, a hidden cool gem of your system that people would not normally think of on a solar system?
I mean, the autoformer is kind of rare. I don't see a lot of those out there. I mean, that's something new I've just started pushing, but I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I
All right. So here's something that you may not be able to tell us. Why doesn't, or does Victron have something, if you just wanted to do 110K, do they make something like that if somebody didn't want to do like dual quattros?
I mean, they make a 10 kVA inverter, but it's a single phase. You know, the problem is the neutral. When you start getting in like a dual leg with a shared neutral, you can end up with an overload on the neutral, and there's no circuit protection on neutrals ever. There's no breakers or anything on them. So that's where it gets into where they can't just make a 5,000 watt dual leg inverter.
Right.
Because a lot of people do ask that.
Right.
A lot of people want to do just a single quattro, and there is some workarounds and stuff. You can put in a single 5,000 watt inverter and put in like a 3-position switch, but people don't typically do things that way anymore.
Right.
So if you're going to do a single quattro, you might as well just do dual multi-pluses, and you got the same amount of available power without having to have
all kinds of workarounds.
You know,
right.
So.
Yeah. Awesome. Martha, do you have any questions?
That was my question, if you can plug in a smart car.
That's all she wanted to know.
I've never plugged in one, so I don't know what, like...
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, people plug them into normal 1-ton outlets.
All right, Derek, first and foremost, it was wonderful meeting you last summer at the RV Unplugged rally. He was hired like on the fly like that, and he's like, I got you, because our inverter went dead and we're boondocking at the rally. And Chris, we missed a day of activities because he wanted to work with Derek, and Chris loves all this solar stuff, so that's why he did the bulk of this video for you guys. But it was really neat to see them both working well together. And
it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was great.
Yeah. And then also, thank you for letting us take a tour of your solar system.
Oh, no, I appreciate it.
Right here is his contact information, so if you need solar done, he's your guy.
You can call or text this number anytime. I mean, sometimes that's honestly the best way to get a hold of me, because I try to answer that phone every time it rings. So even if you just got questions, feel free to reach out.
All right, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget, like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave it down below in the comment. We'll relay it to Derek, or you can give him a call or text him. Other than that, have a great day and enjoy every moment.
Thanks, guys.